I want to meet the non-human tattoo man. Painted door to tenement of thugs. That's probably not great. There's fell tissue parlor and smoldering corpse bar. So, oh, Quatra's warehouse. We've been to that. I'm curious about the Ubu thugs, but let's go to the. Let's talk to this tattoo man. He seems neat. I'm about to be murdered. I really should have gone to a place to rest. So how well can you communicate with this guy? You see a Dabus, but something about it strikes you as odd. It has the same shock of white hair, the same greenish cast to its skin, the same pair of goat horns. Then you suddenly realize that this one is walking on the ground, not floating. For some reason, this makes you uneasy. Morte, can you translate for me? Morte scoffs. I'd sooner be straying through a Tanari's bowels than unravel what this goathead's trying to say. You want a translator? Find a Sigil native. I see. I had some... The Dabus waits patiently, its hands tucked into its sleeves. A series of symbols materialize above its head, then dissipate, and a question mark appears. I'm surprised that it has a regular question mark. I had some questions for you. The Dabus waits. Who are you? The Dabus inclines his head slightly, and a lone symbol appears above his head. It is blurry at first, then resolves into a white oval with a black lightning bolt through it. For some reason you know that the Dabus has a name. Its name is Fel. For some reason you know that the Dabus' name is the name you were already told by somebody else. I feel like I know you, Fel. Fel bows reverently. A stream of symbols swirl around his head, rotating clockwise, then counterclockwise. You have to guess at some of the symbols, but you think he said something about this not being the first time you have come to this place. Ah! A hint at our past, but it's someone we can't talk to. Do you know who I am? Another series of symbols materialize quickly and sharply into focus above Fel's head. These symbols are not as difficult as others. You think he said he knows you, but he cannot say any more than that. Why not? For a moment there is no response from Fel. Then a stream of rebuses appear, as if trickling out of Fel's mind. You think he's saying he's sorry, but you can't translate the rest. I see. I had another question for you, Fel. What is this place? A slow train of symbols materialize around Fel's head. The symbols take several moments to resolve, starting with simple lines, then fleshing themselves out into breathtaking colors. You're guessing at some of the symbols, but you think he's an artist. And this is a tattoo parlor. This scene is not written for you to already know about him. Like, wow, I think I'm vaguely intuiting information that I knew before I got here. Can I see what tattoos you have? Oh. Oh. Oh, stat upgrades. Oh, look at me go. Tattoo of the skull. Special. Temporary. Temporary? How long does it last? It's a tattoo. +1 save against paralyzation. +1 to luck. Special equipped. +1 charisma, -1 wisdom. Usable only by the Nameless One. Equipped versus temporary? For all of Morte's fault, having him as a companion makes you seem more capable and not so much a stranger to Sigil's streets. This tattoo reinforces that bond. Giving you +1 to charisma and when invoked also lends you some of Morte's luck and his ability to shrug off anything that would otherwise cause him to stop talking, such as paralyzation or stunning. That's a superpower, is he never shuts up. Unfortunately, it also gives the user a penalty for their wisdom, which is not hard to understand considering how little Morte has to spare. This is just bullying Morte today. The tattoo can only call upon its luck ability a limited number of times. When the tattoo's power is exhausted, however, the charisma bonus will remain. Okay. So having the tattoo gives you a stat modifier, but you can use it like an item sometimes. Morte being immediately introduced into your party and maybe a permanent party member, maybe, I'm not sure. It does make me kind of wish he was a little bit more like Kim, just because Kim had more input more frequently. It really is nice in disc release and just having, like, I wouldn't be against having a third-party member or something, but just how much of a presence Kim is all the time is really interesting. Well, now, these appear to be chances to have like permanent stat upgrades. They'll have Tattoo of Accuracy, Thaco +1. This tattoo has 2 concentric rings with lines radiating from the center. When inscribed on the skin, the wearer's perceptions of distance and balance become heightened, giving their attacks better accuracy. So this isn't even a trade-off, it's just better, period. Can I have all the tattoos? Also, THAC0. I think that's how you spell Thaco. Thaco is an acronym standing for 2 hit armor class 0. It refers to the roll required for a character to score a hit on a hypothetical opponent with an armor class of 0, which in turn is used to calculate other attack rolls. It's kind of a semantic train wreck. So basically, Thaco just means hit, but told annoyingly and confusingly, which, as you can imagine, is why they stopped calling it that. For me, the semantic mess here is that if you take the phrasing literally, to hit an armor class of 0 +1, that implies that, well, it's like, so to hit frames this as a challenge. Like, this is what you need to accomplish. You need to do this in order to hit an armor class of 0. So +1 implies your hit chances going down because you have to roll even higher now in order to hit an armor class of 0, is what it sounds like it's implying. Like, obviously it's called the Tattoo of Accuracy, and it says it has greater accuracy, so we can assume it means your hit roll is going up. But it essentially sounds like the DC is going up by 1, like the difficulty of the roll or whatever. So, like, this is just kind of a mess of phrasing that is as confusing as you could possibly explain stuff, when all you really need to do is say to hit, and then just explain elsewhere in the rule book. Yeah, when we talk about hit chance, that's assuming it armor class is 0, so, like, you know, if they have an armor class, remember to calculate that part. That's part of how how an attack works. Naming the stat after the concept of this dynamic is confusing as shit, because it's several stats competing with each other, and that's just, I'm amazed that they were on their 2nd edition of D&D and they were naming stuff like this. Like, it's just such an immediately bad idea, as far as it seems. Doesn't really matter, though. +1 to damage with all attacks. What? This tattoo has a barbed whip inscribed on it. Where the wearer strikes an opponent in combat, the tattoo flares and the whip takes an extra bite out of the opponent. That's fucking metal. Attack tattoos. +1 to strength. +2 to strength for fighters only. This one's for everybody. Tattoo adds a slight bonus to the user's intelligence, allowing him to greater chance of gaining memories and aiding in mage skills. More memories would be good. Yeah, I wanted to check this. Each party member may equip up to 3 tattoos at a given time. Tattoos can be added or removed from the inventory the same as any standard piece of equipment. Oh. Well, those are both useful things to learn. Okay. So they work like equipment items, and you equip them. You have 3 slots. Probably in my inventory, there's probably like a category for tattoos. So this is a fantastic merchant that gives me a lot of incentive to just generally make money, because I can buy stat upgrades, and I have 3 per party member, which is a lot of stat upgrades to equip in the long term. Insight is, yeah, then 2 intelligence for mages. Tattoo of Spirit is wisdom. Soul is 2 wisdom. Spirit 3 is 1 wisdom. Soul 1. Is the number how many he sells? Like, he has less of the really good ones. +2 dex for thieves. Make me more difficult to hit. And adding to thief skills. That'd be helpful for a few reasons. Tattoo of presence. That's charisma. And tons of charisma. What if everybody loved me? Base hit points. +1 to armor class. Which is kind of like having the tattoo thing for being a dodgy man that dodges. Bloodletting is only 300. Okay. Let's get the stealth one. Action. That's why everybody wants a piece of the action. And then we'll get the bloodletting because it's really cheap for +1 damage. I don't do that much damage usually, so that's a deeps increase. And goodbye to all of my stats. Everybody needs a main attraction. That's why everybody needs satisfaction guaranteed. Yeah, there's 3 tattoo slots, weirdly not near each other on the screen. Like, put this one here, and then it'll be in a row, and visibly separate from your normal inventory.
Don't want to part with that.
Eyes cannot be removed, only switched.
Don't want to part with that. Don't want to part with that.
You would prefer to remain having an eye. What a loser. I guess I can equip rings. Like, yep. That's an earring. Regular ring. Wow. It does save some inventory space. I can put a bracelet on my wrist. It's just they don't have stats. I got to figure out how to identify the weird ones. With a spell or a scroll. It's got to be like an identify person somewhere. So I can find out how to use these items that are probably cool. That would be helpful. Also got to offload a bunch of trash. So I can have one more tattoo, but I'm pretty out of money until I sell a bunch of stuff off. I could also use any equipment, so finding a blacksmith would be nice. What lies beyond that curtain fell. A caravan train of symbols slowly materialize around Fell, one by one. You think he is saying it is a gallery of some sort. A gallery of you. The next part is difficult to translate, but you think Fell is saying he is sad for you. Sad? Why? Another caravan of symbols forms around Fell, this time forming a circle. He said something about you being marked and tormented. There's another section you cannot translate. Then the last portion seems to be something about you enduring pain. Enduring pain. So we specifically know the person that's fallen from the lady, and we're marked in some way and enduring pain. I'm like the Lady of Pain? Feels like we're just like setting up the idea that I'm just specifically cursed by the Lady of Pain, and that's why I'm like this. What do you mean? A long string of rebuses appears above Fell's head, then surrounds his arms like manacles. He seems to be saying he admires you for enduring losses. Go on. The long string of rebuses appears over Fell's head, then falls, covering him like a cloak. He seems to be saying these losses cover your life and your other lives. You're not certain what the other symbols surrounding this message mean, however. Is there anything else you can tell me? A brief series of paper-thin rebuses appear in an orderly row next to Fell, then vanish into glowing motes. You think he just warned you not to sign anything during your travels. Very well. Don't sign anything, like that one, like the death contract or whatever. Another series of rebuses appear, forming a spiral. They have the texture of a question about them. You think he just asked you if you feel whole. I don't. In fact, ever since I woke up in the mortuary, I feel like something's missing. Something inside. Fell nods, and a series of symbols materialize like a halo around him. You think he is telling you to be strong, to keep faith. I'll try. I had some other questions. You say we've met before, Fel. Do you know how I died? Yeah, you got beat up by a dragon outside, remember? Fel does not respond for a moment. Then slowly, menacingly, three symbols materialize above his head, each one of them casting a long shadow. You think he's saying something about shadows. Shadows. The three symbols swirl about each other, each leaving a faint, black, misty trail about them. They take on a ragged edge, like teeth and talons, and multiply. Three split into three, then into three again, until the entire room seems covered by a swarm of shadows. He seems to be saying that you were killed by many shadows. Why? The shadowed symbols swirl into one, then dissolve, to be replaced with a simple symbol. Fel doesn't seem to know why. Can you tell me anything about these tattoos on my body? Fel studies your body for a moment, walking around you. He mirrors each symbol as he examines it, then returns to face you. From what you can make out on his floating symbols, he says the tattoos are not his. I'll keep that in mind. Farewell. He seems like a friend. Let's violate his privacy. The gallery of me. This tattoo is of a night black steed with dead white eyes and spines bristling from its shoulder blades. This picture shows a blackened sphere of with trails of black mist floating away from it. This design shows a series of black rivers whose courses divide, cross each other, then flow together. That's skin! This design is a hollow beast with a tiny demon in its head. No, it's a frog. You can't trick me, game. Human skin has been stretched across these wooden frames. The skins are covered with tattoos. What have you been up to, sir? We're not... okay. We're not going to analyze the tattoos? Just like, huh! Giant tapestry human skin stretched around in a gallery with tattoos on them. That's all I gotta say, though. Just some tattoos. An unusual work of art. This looks like a clock, but there are no numbers or hands on it. A pattern of barbed black branches have been inscribed on this wall. A burning skull has been inscribed on this wall. Two symbols of duality flank it. This design seems to be a shadow casting a shadow. The silhouettes of the shadow make it unclear whether it is a man or a woman. How does a shadow cast a shadow? What does that even mean? I have several follow-up questions. I'm gonna die, I'm gonna die, I'm gonna die, I'm gonna die, no, run. Haha, I'm in danger! Okay, let's go into the place before I die. What if the sun came up just to be cute? Ignis. That's the guy the story was about. Ignis. He just likes being on fire. He took a big nap. He's like, yay. Toasty. Toasty!
Done.
Why is everybody named... everyone's names are ironic. These vents blow incredibly hot air up from the furnaces below. This cannot be an enjoyable bar to be in. This is a woman with fading bruises on her face and arms, and a look of despairing longing in her sunken eyes. She might have been pretty once, but those days were long ago. She turns slowly to face you. Life pours into her features, and the spark of sardonic light that dances in her eyes now makes you wonder if your eyes were deceiving you. Welcome to the Smoldering corpse, scarred man. It's very noticeable how often women are described about whether or not they were beautiful, but how rarely men are described about whether or not they're handsome. Like you talk about like how good they look. Like a lot of people are just kind of described as being gross, but you never like you almost never actually question how attractive men are. It's very noticeable, this dichotomy, when you're gay. You're like, huh. These descriptions are not for me, but they are ever present. And the absence of the opposite is all the more noticeable. Who are you? I am Drusilla. And you must be clueless. Don't ask me how I know that. It just shines off you. Shines. Right. Answer some questions for me. Aye, traveler, what is it you seek? What can you tell me about this place? Here? This is the Smoldering corpse. Though the person smoldering ain't dead yet, he's just keeping himself alive till someone comes along to help him out. Sods who like to see people in pain come here. Fiends like it. Folks who don't much care for being bothered come here too. The name alone keeps out most of the Burks. Who is he, anyway?
Updated my journal.
That despair you saw on her face before flits across it again like a black-winged shadow before she masters herself. That's Ignis, one of the greatest wizards to ever come out of the slummy excuse of a cesspool. They caught him, and they opened a channel to the place of fire through him, and now he's just a doorway for it, keeping himself alive by force of will alone. If someone could douse him for a few moments, it'd give him his life back again, but they don't make enough water to do that. Someone should be able to find something. Ah, well. Can you answer some more questions for me? I want to go back. What's your connection to him? Her voice practically throbs with deep ache. I was Ignis's lover, and he, my beloved. He loved the flame more than me, and now he has become the flame. And because I love him, I love the flame. But that's all done with now. Now I wait for him to douse himself. I sell what little I have, just so I can be near him. Damn. Bored about the whole thing? These are mostly looping dialogue about the same things over and over again. Ebb Creekneys? What a name! Does he talk? This crackling, billowing creature twists slowly above an iron grill upon the floor of the bar. It may have once been human, but now its skin is charred beyond recognition. Streams of fire form a wreath around the creature's body, and the flames lick at the few remaining pockets of flesh, causing him to bubble and run like wax down the creature's skeletal frame. Greetings? The thing makes no response. It writhes slowly within the flames. It lives, but it does not seem aware of anything other than the fire that surrounds him. Its skin is flame. Its heart is flame. And you know, within some shadowed corner of your memory, that this thing is dangerous. The heat surrounding this creature is incredible. To your surprise, the iron grill the creature floats above has sagged and bent from the heat. At first you thought the heat came from the grill, but now you realize it emanates from the creature. As you watch, flecks of ash drift from the writhing corpse and float slowly to the ceiling. Well, miserable. I thought he was contentedly resting, though. He seems to throw little tantrums and flail around. Mercy Killer Patron. I see a lad who barely looks a day over 18. Oh, his face seems to betray some tension. Help you, cutter? Who are you? I'm Caleb. I'm a Mercy Killer. I'm here with Tarner and Ilsidon to catch my first criminal. What can you tell me about the Mercy Killers? Well, Sorry, I have to get used to saying that. I have to get used to saying that now. I believe that justice is the most important thing in existence. I believe that without justice, there is no meaning, and without meaning, might as well just go off and kill ourselves. I don't want to kill myself. So I decided that justice is the meaning. If you want to know more, you ought to ask one of the other two, or find one of our recruiters. They'll talk your ear off. I might do that. Who are your friends here? The other people who are here to make sure I don't foul up this assignment. Tarner's the older one. Ilsidon's the one who's here to make sure I do the job right, and to give me support if I need it. He swallows noisily. I hope I won't. What are you doing? Well, seeing as I'm a new mercy killer, I'm supposed to bring a criminal to justice to show I can handle the field work. I decided I want to catch a killer. So we asked around and we got told he was going to be here. Still haven't seen him though. I'm a little nervous, truth be told. Haven't seen him though. I'm a little nervous to tell the truth. If you'll excuse me, I really gotta get to looking at the faces here again. He cranes his neck and looks around the bar. I think there's a lot of killers, so it shouldn't be that hard. What can you tell me about this place? This place? It's the Smoldering Corpse. I think they named it after the guy on the entry. It's a place where criminals and lowlifes hang out. Still, there are some cutters here who know what they're talking about. Some of them are those fiends, though, and I don't like to deal with them. I feel like they're staring right in my soul. I don't see either of the names that he mentioned. Is he Dakon, Elias, Barkus, Ilquix, Ebb, and Candrian? None of these are the names that he said. Is this person supposed to be invisible? I can see you. You see a soft-looking man with gentle, far-staring eyes. He dresses in supple leather clothing and carries various implements of use and destruction about his body, such as ropes, spikes, tinder boxes, and empty vials of air. He looks half gone. Literally, there's an insubstantiality to his existence, as if his existence has been partially leached away. He focuses those eyes on you, and suddenly you find them gripping and determined. Greetings to you, O Seeker. Greetings. He carefully sets down the mug he's holding and gives you all his attention. I have seen the far reaches of the multiverse and returned to tell the tale. I have walked upon the bodies of dead gods and spun moonbeams in the astral ahead of 1,000 shrieking Githyanki nights. I have passed the edges of existence and watched the essence shiver away before me. And soon it will all be gone, like tears and rain. What is it I can do for you? I have some questions for you. Perhaps I have answers for you. Speak, and I shall tell you. Why do you have to start the sentence like this? This is kind of mean. What? Why do you have to make fun of her teeth? I met a woman named Ingress with very bad teeth. She said she had come through a portal to some world that was opened by a tune hummed near 2 crossed trees. Can you get her home? He pauses briefly, thinking. I know the portal of which you speak, though I have not traveled it these 30 years gone. I will take her home, Seeker. Go tell her to await my arrival, then meet me back here, and I will tell you if I was successful or not.
Updated my journal.
Hopefully they're trustworthy enough. Who are you? I'm Candrian Illborn, traveler, dreamer, tale spinner, and so forth. You are a traveler? Tell me of the plains. I am tired, Seeker. So tired. I am fresh back from negation. I will answer what I can for you, but I cannot promise that you will find satisfaction in the answers I give. What would you know? Would you hear of the outer planes, the prime material, or the inner planes? What's the difference? Oh! The difference is true essence, Seeker. The inner planes are matter, substance, true physicality. They are the building blocks of the multiverse, for it is from them that all belief in the elements springs. The inner planes filter through the ethereal plane, the plane of potential, some say, which forms the elements into the worlds of mortals. Once past the ethereal plane, one reaches the prime material, where exists all manner of mortals and monsters and myths and machines. It is there that belief is born, and there the spirits that create the outer planes are born. When mortals die, they pass to the astral plane. No place that is thought. A no place that is thought and mental energy itself. It is in all things and in none. It is paradox, among other things, and it filters spirits into the great ring. Do you comprehend so far? I'm not sure. The inner planes are substance. They create matter. They lead to the prime material plane, which is life and death, and the birth of thought. The prime leads to the outer planes, which are belief made solid, where thoughts are given form. Is that easier for you? I still don't understand. Unfortunately, I have explained it as best as I can. Remember this, though. The place you stand is not true matter, but is created by the force of beliefs of all across the prime and outer planes. It can be changed by belief, and is subject to alteration. It is mutable and changeable with the power of mind alone. Oh no, the tree man is right, which means that I'm potentially right about the dustmen being a force for bad just by believing that existence is pain, because then they make existence pain. You did that. You did that to yourself. Very well. So tell me of the planes. Tell me of the outer planes. Now, the outer planes. Where should I start? Do you know the cardinal rules of the planes, on which all others are based? Do you know that about the composition of the outer planes? Do you know of the great ring and its divisions in our hearts? Do you know of the individual planes? Each of these leads to the next, and so it is best to start from the beginning. Help. I'm gonna be honest, I don't think I'm gonna internalize this. This looks like an incredibly complicated description that I should watch a YouTube video about instead. And like repeat it a few times. That's so many things to categorize. I was being a little facetious about not understanding when I clicked on because I was just curious what he would say. But it's also like a lot. The important thing is that Planescape, haha, because that's the setting of the thing, is not the same as regular D&D concrete world where people regularly live. So we're in some other place where thought is powerful and everything's not quite made of matter. What are you doing? I am fresh back from negation. I'm trying to restore my essence before it slips away from me altogether. Oh, kind of feel like a dick for giving you a task then, to be like, hey, help this other lady. What is this place? Unless the cosmos has shifted, or we have been spun into the mazes, I would say that we're in the Smoldering Corpse Tavern. Mazes? What do you mean? Aye, the mazes, where the lady dumps those who've displeased her. He makes a small semicircle over his heart as he speaks the lady's name. If you'd know more of the lady in the city, find a tout, or some such guide. Oh, the touts? Oh. I saw them walking around. What can you tell me of the patrons here? I mind my own business here, Seeker, for I spend too much time away, not minding it. Speak to the bartender if you would learn more of his customers. Farewell. That character has a lot of dialogue for you if you're ready for it. This guy almost looks like the barbarian from Diablo 2 specifically. Maybe not, it just kind of gives the vibe. You see a slightly stooped old man with a full gray beard and a lion's mane of gray hair. He wears a couple of shoulder guards as armor, and he keeps a helmet nearby. He smokes a pipe and carries a pouch of tobacco around his waist. He looks pretty strong, but he's a little plump. and also appears to have some sort of breathing trouble. Well now, aren't you a sight, lad? Never have I seen so many scars blanketing a fellow. Like a scar cloak you're wearing. Where you been? Hanging out in a grain thresher? He laughs. Oh, I'm just jesting with you, lad. No offense meant, and I hope no offense taken. I'm Ebb. He extends his hand. Greetings, Ebb. His handshake is firm. Now, I hereby tender my apologies for this unfair jesting, lad. Hope no hard feelings. Can buy you a tankard or two of something too smooth. I can buy you a tankard of falling apart. I'd buy you a tankard or two of something to smooth any rough feathers. Why not? That's the spirit, lad. Bide a moment. He raises to his feet and heads to the bar. After a moment, he returns to his seat with a pair of tankards. Here you go, lad. Drink up. He takes a massive swallow from his own tankard, puffs on his pipe, and says, What can old Ebb do for you this fine Sigil day? I had some questions about this place. Oh, well, I gathered that just to look at you. I mean, you don't look like you're from around these parts, lad. You look a little too out of sorts to be a seasoned native. Ebb chuckles, then takes another drink. So what can I help you with, lad? Looking for a shirt? You need to know the lay of the land? Ebb winks. Who are you? Ebb Creekneys, third measure of the harmonium, now retired and being a tout with one's voice. Since I don't step as lightly as I might past these past 2 or 3 decades. He chuckles. Now, lad, who be you and what trouble might you be in? What's a tout? Well, now it's a good thing you asked that, because now you've told me that you're green and a tout. That you're green and a tout about the best person a clueless could have run into in the streets of Sigil. And I'm just the man who's someone like you is in need of. He takes a drink. A tout's a friendly city guide. Shows you what's what, gives you a little jaunt around town. A guide, aye. A guide is the best way to look at it. Except I don't really leave this chair on account of my age, so mostly I suggest directions and places you might want to see in your travels of this fair city. Don't cost you a cent. So the idea of having my first conversation with a supposed guide like 10 hours in is very funny. Why is it free? A tout who can't move can't command much of a price, lad. By the powers, 'twould be unfair to charge you for just a bag of words. How old are you? Old enough to know better, lad, and too old to walk much. He puffs on his pipe. Let's just say my best years are behind me, and there's only a few irons that keep this heart beating. What irons? Well, lad, not to bring down the conversation, but I'm hoping that one day a holy fellow will be making his way to the old smoldering corpse, and hopefully he'll shrive me up some of my private sins so I can go on and step off this plane for good. So he needs, like, redemption first? Do you know of someone named Farod? Farod? Ebb frowns, takes his pipe from his mouth. Now, lad, what you be wanting with a burk like Farod? I think he stole some of my belongings. Oh, no doubt, lad, no doubt. Ebb grumbles, chewing on his pipe. You have to chain up everything around that grasping little spider. He should have been one of the fated, the way anything that's not chained down slips into his parlor. Don't give him a yard or take a league, eh? What do you know about him? Well, now, I don't know everything there is to know about old Farod, but I know some of the dark surrounding him. If you're determined to track down that spider and nail him to a wall, then I suppose I could spill some of that chant, so you know what you're tangling with. He pauses to tamp his pipe. Farod dug his nest deep into Ragpicker Square not too long ago. Got a bunch of collectors and gangs together and started what one could almost consider a collecting faction. Be that as it may be. Where can I find him? Well, lad, if you're looking for a Ferrod, which I would say is pretty barmy of you, you're a little off the beaten path. You want to be finding Ragpicker's Square. Chant is that Ferrod set up his kip somewhere in the square. Even an old fella like me who's been around the ring a few times don't know exactly where. I figure that Ferrod wants to keep the dark of his location dark. I guess that makes sense in the universe, but it's just an awkward sentence. The dark is the lack of knowledge. He wants to keep it dark. If you're all bound and determined to find Ferrod, go to Ragpicker's Square and try to dig up Ferrod's location from some of the locals. Try and be careful about it, since there's plenty in the square that would make a gut harp out of you as soon as you look at you. Nod's nice enough. What is this place? You're in the Smoldering Corpse Bar, lad. Not a pretty place as some, but it's got its own homespun kind of charm. Who's the Smoldering Corpse there? Him? Oh, no corpse, lad. No deader him. Near as we can tell, old Ignis is still alive inside that little roast spit. Near as we can figure, anyway. Ebb wrinkles his nose. He can smell damnly awful sometimes, too. Keeps me on the pipe and makes sure it doesn't warm its way into my nose, it does. He chuckles. How did he get there? Ebb takes a smoke from his pipe for a moment, as if deciding how to phrase the comment. Well now, lad. Ignis had a smattering of problems and some not slight wizardly magics to boot, and seldom do the two mix well, if you understand me. He liked to... Ebb puffs on his pipes and smoke trails up. Well, he liked to burn things, and he started torching places and people, and generally making a bunch of trouble. And? Well, now most of this was going on in the Hive, and I'll be the first to admit that the Hive is not the first place the Harmonium goes to keep Sigil's law. Ebb looks a little shamefaced. A failing on our part, since it may be the place where our presence is most needed. So, by the lady's reckoning, there was a little street-side justice in the wizardly community. A bunch of tea leaf readers, hedge wizards, and midwife witches got together and managed to weave a spell that was kind of poetic justice. Ebb gestures with his pipe at the figure. So, now he sits there and burns. He's still alive, which I don't think they counted on. What other places do you recommend? Well, Ebb puffs on his pipe and studies you. This is perhaps the best kip you could have wandered into from the start. Judging by your tattoos, you might be partial to having designs on your body, in which case there's a tattoo salon, a little spire word from here. You want to stay away from the Alley of Dangerous Angles if you can. Ignis torched that place not long ago, and ever since a bunch of bad bloods have kept their kip in that stretch of desert. All these things are kind of winding into each other combined. There's elements here that inform each other. Tell me of Sigil and its environs. Ebb laughs loudly. You don't think small, do you? If you want to know what's outside the city, go talk to Candrian Ilborn over there. He's the traveler of this place. As for the rest of it, well, I can tell you of the lady, the Dabus, keys and portals, the way we keep track of time, the way the city's laid out. What's it you wanted to know? Oh, this is a lot. This is a lot. Nothing. Farewell. I can revisit that later, but I was during that conversation I was thinking about the other quest that I'd like to do right now. So I think I kind of want to come back here later after I follow up on a couple of the quests that I've made progress on by finding this bar. So I want to go talk to... Yeah, I got 3 different people to talk to, basically. But I want to talk to Ingress right now. Oh wait, aren't you the person that told me to go do the thing? Are you successful in finding Craddock, good sir? Yes, and I passed along your message, though it didn't seem to please him any.
Updated my journal.
Bane doesn't seem to have heard any word after yes, for he smiles and heaves a sigh of relief. Good fortune indeed. Thank you, good sir, thank you. He reaches into his robe and pulls out forth a handful of coppers, which he counts out. Then hands to you. 45 commons for delivering a message, eh? Fair enough. Oh, more than fair, good sir, more than fair. I can say without hesitation that there is no finer profession in all Sigil than to be a runner for the House of Senders. I'll keep that in mind. Farewell, Bane. That wasn't even one of the 3 quests I was thinking about, but it is one of them, isn't it? There's Ingress. You see Ingress. She is huddled inside her cloak of dirty rags, her teeth chattering. She is glancing furtively about her, as if expecting to be attacked at any moment. Greetings, Ingress. Eh? You! She squints at you. What is it you want me now? You want me to leave? Not leaving this city, so I'm not. I can't. Tried. It's not a city. It's a prison to everywhere. Ingress, I found someone who can take you back to your home plane. Ingress falls silent. I want to go. Want to leave this place. His name's Kandrian. He should be along shortly to help you. Trust him, all right? Ingress says nothing, merely nods quietly, her teeth chattering inside her mouth. I'll go back and meet Kandrian at the Smoldering Corpse bar and make sure everything turned out all right. Be strong, Ingress.
Updated my journal.
Weird thing to explain to her. It's just a design choice they made where they... Oh god, There's a design choice they made where they just want the final dialogue option to often be an explanation of where to go next, to tell the player where to go. But it has the funny quirk of, frequently making you sound strange, because you explain to people what you're going to do next, even if it's not useful information to them. So therefore, strange to say to them. Okay, let's try to heal up a little bit.
I'm gone.
This old lady is so nice to me. I like her. Also, she's like one of the only merchants I have for certain purposes. Oh yeah, I need to trade these elsewhere. Although one copper a piece is the same price, isn't it? Everything I sell is still here. That's right and proper consistent. Somebody buy all my shitty knives. I'm the knife collector. Weird hobby, frankly.
Done.
Look, we can see it clearly now. Isn't the sun nice? Someone comes to speak to Nod. Speaks to Nod, aye. He suddenly breaks into a fit of hacking coughs, then nods to himself. I spoke to your sister, Amaris. You did? Nod's so happy he is. How's Nod's sister? Tell him of Amaris. Tell Nod, please. His excitement sets off a long series of hacking coughs. Where he can finally speak again, he asks, Is Nod's sister still pretty? So pretty. Yes, she is. She's a prostitute now, in the hive. She's doing well, and is worried for you. Nod's so pleased to know his sister is all right. He looks as if he's going to cry for a moment, then swallows hard. Anything more? Anything more she said for Nod to hears? Yes, she wanted you to have these copper commons. She will also visit you as soon as she can find the time.
Updated my journal.
Nod's head stops nodding abruptly and his jaw drops as you hand him one of the 100 copper coins. Beneath the dirt brown hood, his eyes gleam with joy. Such wonderful news it is. Good, wonderful news. Aye. Nod thanks you, and thank you again, and thanks you 1,000 times more. Aye. Glad I could help. Farewell, Nod. I hope that works out. I'm worried that she'll visit here and be attacked, or Nod will be attacked for having money. Because he doesn't seem very defensible.
Done.
Help!
Done.
Let's go, let's see. Gonna want to take it a little more nicely about the telling him to go fuck himself and whatnot. You see Craddock. His scowl has deepened since when you first saw him. It looks about to crack his face in two. I found Jahele. Is that right? Craddock glances around. Where is he then? He said to pike off, and that you were a cur of the lowest sorts, and that he wasn't going to work for you any longer.
Updated my journal.
Craddock's face turns bright red and his face cracks into a snarl. Damned be his name. May all the evils of the plains hound his footsteps. A blistering stream of insults, threats, and speculation about Jahele's family roots issues from Craddock's mouth.
All right.
Ooh! Mark clicks his teeth together as Craddock builds up steam. You can almost hear him taking notes inside his skull. Craddock finishes his tirade with a grunt. Damn that Jahele! I'm in need of a day's work. I'll take on Jahele's duties for a time, in exchange for his pay. Craddock studies you for a moment. Ye? Ha! You couldn't. He suddenly falls silent. Well, mayhap you can. It's hard work, and there's no drinking on my watch. Understood. Let's get started. Am I gonna be okay? The work is long, but at the end of the shift you are not the least bit tired. Craddock grunts as you return. You did well enough. Here's your pay. He tosses you a handful of coins. Now get. We've no more use for you. Farewell then.
Come on in, Basher.
You know what?
Best blades in town.
Maybe I wouldn't work for him either. For 10 coppers. I made more money delivering the message in the first place. Yeah, telling him about telling him about his own deadline paid me 45 coppers. Then helping him meet his deadline paid me 10. Just a little goofy. This must lead back to the other part of the map, since the other place is the evil alleyway. Yeah, so now we're back on this map again. I was going to talk to the Planeswalker guy. Come on in, Cutter!
Done.
I hope this worked out. Tangerine stands as you approach him. The Tooth Woman wanted you to have these, he says, holding out his hand. She wanted to express her thanks, even out the balance book, as it were, and be done with the damned things. In the palm of his hand are Ingris's dancing teeth. And he smoothly deposits them in your hand. Enjoy them, Seeker. Oh right, her teeth moved, I forgot. That would lead to a comment on horrifying teeth. Did she pull out her own teeth? What the fuck? What the... Makes me nervous about all sorts of things. That's the end of the conversation. Okay, I guess things just worked out. Her setup was more interesting than her payoff. Not much happened. But what the what's up with the teeth? Ah! Usable only by Morte. Okay.
Hey, come on.
It's an upgrade for his
Hey,
teeth.
Hey, come on. Hey. Hey, hey, hey. Hey, 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 hey. Hey.
The first one has like a
Hey.
the first one has like a default slot, but also gets overwritten. I'm curious about the default one now. Morte's bite, 1 to 3 piercing. Proficiency, fists. Don't ask. Morte's bite is lethal and he can masticate someone to death. As long as his quick weapon slots are not all filled, Morte can always select bite as his current weapon. Morte's bite is his default attack, although the amount of damage he can do with his bite is relatively small. It allows him to attack quickly, which can infuriate any mage who's trying to cast a spell. 1 to 6 crushing, 1 to 3 piercing, speed 1, speed 4. I don't know how this DPS difference works out then, just because I don't know how speed's calculated. This is a handful of Ingress's living teeth. Apparently they didn't want to go with her back through the portal to her home plane. They rattle amongst themselves whenever they are held close together. They remind you of a bunch of creepy, ivory, hopping bugs. Ugh. This just seems distressing. To change the teeth to a different type, select Use. The teeth may gain new options and abilities as more goes up in level. Use? You examine Ingress's teeth. You can't shake their resemblance to ivory bugs, and you get the feeling that they are looking at you expectantly, awaiting some command. I want you to do piercing damage. What? The teeth elongate into sharp fangs. Ah! Now they do 1 to 6 piercing. Ah! I think crushing is good against skeletons, and piercing is good against other things a lot of the time. I don't know. Just distressing that they take voice commands and transform and really do anything else. Like, I don't... Gah. Gah. Enjoy a baffling upgrade, Morte.